Good morning, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram. If you are here, we're so excited this morning to be in the Coaches Cafe with none other than the TATTEDMD. And so, first of all, if you hanging out over there on Facebook, you're not going to be able to see the TATTEDMD. I'm going to need you to slide on over to LinkedIn or to my YouTube channel, Doing Life Well with Regina, because I want you to see the good doc. You can hear the conversation, but you're not going to be able to see the TATTEDMD. And baby, you don't want to miss this conversation this morning. Welcome to the Coaches Cafe. For those who are new to me, my name is Regina Lack. I'm a licensed certified social worker, and I pull up to support you in your whole health. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and so today I decided to invite a very special guest, one who's not new to the Coaches Cafe, one who will be a regular on the Coaches Cafe. And when we start this podcast later on this year, she gonna be the guest. Ask the doc. I ain't even ask her that, but the people gonna be looking for the TATTEDMD now. And so we're excited here because I talk about health. Because it's important to me. And so Doing Life Well Integrative Health and Consulting, PLLC, that is my company. That's where I do the bulk of my work. I show up here to provide you with information to help you make informed decisions. But on a day-to-day basis, I run Doing Life Well Integrative Health and Consulting, where I partner with churches, organizations, as well as medical providers doing preventative work. That is the role that I do. I intercede, or if you've gotten that diagnosis and you're struggling and you're battling the big four, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, high cholesterol, and or obesity, then that's where I come in. I help you to bridge the gap between what you know and what the doctor told you and where you need to be. And so I walk alongside you in a cohort, either in a 4-week series or a 90-day comprehensive program, so that when you go back to the doctor, you have a good report. So thank you all so much for pulling up. Again, if you're hanging out with me on Facebook, I'm going to ask you to slide over to YouTube. My YouTube channel is Doing Life Well with Regina. This morning, I have my very special guest in the studio, the TATTEDMD. Let me switch this picture over and see if we can get, there you go. I got the TATTEDMD in the house. And so we're talking mental health. Mental health matters because untreated emotional pain eventually shows up somewhere else. That thing will show up in your body. We always talking about we okay, and we're pushing through. And sometimes the push through means I need to sit myself down and really, really take care of myself. And so, although a lot of LCSWs are therapists, I chose not to take that route. I'm on the health side. I'm on the medical health side. I'm on the preventative health side. And so I invite others in to support me on this journey of helping you to get to where you need to be, including, and I'm gonna repeat that again, including your mental health. And so it'll show up unaddressed mental health issues, concerns. They'll show up with emotional pain. It shows up somewhere, and a lot of times it shows up in our bodies and in our relationships, in our behaviors, and of course in our beliefs. So today, the conversation I'm going to have with the TATTEDMD, we're just going to rock and roll, open the door, be honest, and just share with you all, because mental health is real. I shared with you all earlier in the week that I had a conversation, matter of fact, with my brother. And so one of the things that he shared is that people don't understand how serious mental health is. Doc, welcome to the Coaches Cafe yet once and again. We're always excited to have you on board with us. We're going to open up with just having you to just share with the people who you are, just a little bit about who you are. And I just admire you, and so just let the people know who the girl is.
Well, good morning. First of all, I'm Amanda Rice, one family medicine physician, also a assistant professor at the University of Mississippi Medical Center, and I've been in practice with 16 years now. and actually do a lot of teaching for the residents and medical students, as well as now, which we were already doing a lot of times, doing a lot of mentoring,
Mm-hmm.
and got involved in the social media thing. Like I told people, I call myself a social introvert. I know that people
Okay.
don't believe it, but
Yeah.
literally, I go and get information. I make sure I socialize with people as best I can about their health, because felt like it was more of a calling,
Mm-hmm.
because I know people always ask outside of the doctors. They don't always have physicians they necessarily feel comfortable asking questions. So
Right.
it became an area to just kind of answer questions, get
Mm-hmm.
health tips, and also just motivate, because also at my job, I'm the employee engagement person, which pretty much makes me the positivity coach. That's why I told them for the whole department in so
Oh,
many
now
words.
everybody need
So
a positivity coach in their life.
exactly. So, and that's why this all is very important, because in the midst of being a strong positivity person, you have to have some real life situations that always come up
Mm-hmm.
on your own.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing how to handle those is very important. So I take a lot of pride in that. I'm a woman of faith. Definitely love God and honor God, and love my family. Been married for it'll be 25 years this year. I have
Come on, 25.
grown three grown children. So and some days I told, and one poodle apparently he's had nothing to tell you.
Hey, Poo Poo, welcome to the conversation. Listen, that's amazing, because the fact that you're just being you, and it's being recognized when you talked about being a social introvert and being able to help other people, showing up in the workspace, and when people see you and they know that you're approachable, okay, no wonder you're the positivity coach. And sometimes organizations miss that step. We onboard people, we bring them in, we provide them with the things they need to do their job. But that emotional thing, that positivity, that expectation that I'm going to be treated with dignity and respect, and I'm going to be treated kind with a level of humanity and some fun stuff, right? And so it's
Mhm.
not, so that matters. That matters to people's mental health, and we really, really, and I'm just giving a charge out to organizations. Don't underestimate the value of investing in your emotional wellness of your team, of the people that are in your organization. Like, seriously, beyond EAP, by the way,
Right. Right.
and beyond Nurses Week, Teacher Week. Just build that into the practice. So we're going to get into this conversation, but before we do, I am not going to let you slide under the door without sharing what you do outside of the workspace. You are a phenom. So if people want to, and we will talk about this at the end too, to give you an opportunity to do that, but everybody don't stay to them. But if people want someone to come and speak and motivate, you got an event coming up soon. And so just share about your own business that you have, Amanda Rice, outside of Dr. Amanda Rice, because we're people outside of our titles. And so share with the people the work that you do with your organization, and why you chose to get involved, to start speaking, to start educating in the community the way that you do. I'm super excited. You got some events coming up, and I'm very excited.
Yeah, so I definitely, it's called the business that I actually started called Inspiring Impact. It started off as medical consultant, but honestly, it spread out to more than just that.
Mhm,
And most people, I tell you, can always reach me on social media as the
mhm,
Tatted MD, or as Amanda Rice. I'm on
mhm,
Instagram, TikTok, which me and TikTok don't get along real good, but on TikTok and Facebook, where you can find me same way as the Tatted MD or under my name, Amanda Rice. But some of the things just pretty much is a motivational
mhm,
speaker,
mhm,
and also provide help to the community in general. So I do a lot of volunteer work as
mhm,
far as going to community and health
mhm.
events, any kind of discussions and talks. I tell people I come real live, so be ready.
That's
Uh,
right. That's how I
we don't.
met you. Okay.
We try not to hold too many things back, because the reality is I enjoy socializing and teaching. I love
Mhm,
teaching,
mhm,
honestly, and not only just teaching students, but it brought me to a place where I love engaging with the public to teach them anything about health and the things they want to know and the questions
mhm.
they might not, like I said, feel comfortable asking their
It might
doctor.
not. Yep.
So some of the events that even are just coming up, I had to remember all of them at the moment, but I know we have a couple speaking engagements, for instance, I actually have one even coming up in October with I don't know if many know Coach Latanya, who actually is author a book that I'll be doing in October at the E Center. It'll be a flyer coming up
Okay.
soon, I'm sure. It's
Yes,
on
make sure
October
I'll
30th.
have you back on definitely to promote that because
Yes,
October
so
is a good bit off. Okay, keep talking.
exactly.
Yes.
And then several other things, like I said, just kind of in the works right now, just coming up. But
Hmm.
we have several health events that are actually coming up, and I've actually joined in one of the organizations, the Five Dimensions, will actually help maternal health,
Okay.
and been cooperating with them quite a bit. And actually just had a recent talk, and we did the walk, pretty
Yes.
much the miles for mamas.
Miles
So
for
recently
mamas. Yes.
recently did that with them, and I actually did a walk after talking. So me and my mom walked too. So it was fun.
Listen.
But I tell people
Yeah.
anything you need me to come speak to or things like that to kind of socialize. Actually, love youth. Have a youth events coming up. Also,
Yes.
Coach Regina got me fixed up so we start having more youth involvement. And
That's
I
right.
actually talk to schools about the children's and their health, and actually about their body image. So,
Yeah.
going to be reaching out to schools and to the youth more often too.
That's it. That's it. Doc, I want you, because of your faith, believing that you booked and busy, okay? And because there's enough good people out here to support every area of our life. We don't have to, and that's why on Fridays, I call it Figured Out Friday. There is no reason why people have to figure it out alone. So thank you,
Mhm.
TATTEDMD. Make sure you all follow her, the TATTEDMD, on all her socials. And if you are looking for some impact speaker, inspiring impact, make sure you connect with the TATTEDMD. She will love to pull up, share with you and your community. If you're hanging out with us on Facebook, thank y'all for hanging out. I have a live conversation going on over here on YouTube with the TATTEDMD. If you want to see her as we get into this conversation, because I see my people on Facebook, I don't just want you to hear her, I want you to see her. We're about to get into a deep conversation on this mental health. And so if you're slide over to my YouTube channel, Doing Life Well with Regina, make sure you subscribe, or head over to LinkedIn where we're also live. Dr. Rice, when people hear the phrase mental health,
Mhm.
and we hear it all the time, what does it actually mean in real life?
Well, mental health, you actually had a name in your title. So I was telling them mental health is literally about behavioral health.
Uh-huh,
That's the other thing. So it's about behavior,
uh-huh,
the way your mind works, the way you
uh-huh.
think. And it's very important because oftentimes we kind of push off mental health like it's not as relevant or something that we need to pay as much attention to. But the truth
Yes.
of the matter, everything starts from the inside out. So I tell people to just literally think of mental health as how you think, and whatever you think is how you're going to act, how you feel, and how
Uh-huh.
you potentially will live life in general. So mental health is just that important, because it starts off with just how you think.
It starts out with how you think. We underestimate that a lot, and I share that because we like to be the push throughers,
Mhm.
carrying all the weight and pushing through. Why do you think so many people look physically functional but are mentally exhausted?
Really, because people don't want to display their weakness. If we watch social media, we watch
Uh-huh.
everything that happens in real life, people
Uh-huh.
do not want to display their weakness. It's becoming a little bit more popular. I say popular now because people kind of engage a little bit more on,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
for lack of a better term, sometimes negativity. So people start displaying for that reason, but it's not
Right.
necessarily to feel better. It's more just to
Right.
get attention.
Right.
So oftentimes we walk around showing our physical and fix it up quite a
Yeah.
bit to look good because we don't want people to know what is really going on in our minds. So how much we're hurting, the pain we
Yes.
dealt with before, the things we're trying to heal from that we hadn't actually healed from. And oftentimes we just hide those things, just try to make ourselves look stronger than we really are. And because we're trying to be an example to somebody else, hopefully to be strong. And a lot of times it's just a charade.
It'll take you out. Yeah, masking it. And what we find, or have you seen a lot of, in the work and in the communities that you're in, when you start having these conversations with people that look well, they look really good, but they're physically exhausted and they just let out a lot about, how burned out they are and how they're carrying the weight of the world, and they feel this deep obligation to keep carrying the weight of the world to the demise of their health. Speak to that if you can.
Well, first of all, I don't even have to go in the community. We see it at work. I
Okay.
mean, I work as a physician, and we
Mhm,
take care of resident physicians and all the people on our staff. And reality is, we have a job that entitled and it calls us to take care of people every day.
mhm,
That's our job title, and beyond just purpose. So
mm,
oftentimes we walk around and hold in the things that we have because we're so busy trying to be there for other people, for everybody else, and sometimes it's I say difficult, but it is you become used to it. It almost becomes like a second habit. So it
yeah.
becomes a habit to actually look over the well-being within yourself, trying to
Mhm,
make sure you're being there for everybody else. And
mhm,
typically, I know it happens a lot in women. I
mhm,
can speak for Black women because I'm one,
mhm,
but
mhm,
typically in women because we're trying to take care of everything and feel like we have to.
mhm,
And honestly, it's just becoming to the realization that we don't.
mhm,
Um, we oftentimes try to make sure the family is fine. You want to make sure work is fine. You want to make sure parents are fine. You even checking on siblings every once in a while.
mhm, mhm,
And so those things become heavy. And a lot of times we walk around heavy with stuff that we shouldn't even be carrying. I think we said that a lot of times before, but mental health oftentimes becomes more relevant. That's why you see people that look like they're fine. And then
mhm,
all you see things like them taking their own life or going
mhm,
through a life altering situation because they've been
mhm,
holding so much. And when you get to that space by yourself,
mhm,
everything that heavy starts getting
mhm,
heavier. And
mhm,
you're now using a vent to actually just
mhm,
kind of cover up those things you're feeling. Now you're in a space where once you get alone, I tell them sometimes alone can be dangerous.
mhm. Ooh. That the heavy weight, that is a we tend to wear like a badge of honor.
Hmm.
And we say that, but we're here with the tatted MD, and I imagine, y'all know I'm gonna have to go here. I imagine all that weight that we're carrying gonna lead to some cardiovascular issues. I can only imagine, Doc.
Hmm.
I can only imagine people having, that's why it's called a silent killer, heart attacks and strokes, like heart attack because of the pressure to continue when your mental health has not been addressed.
Hmm.
Do you see a lot? What are you seeing now in terms of anything? Are you? I'm not gonna say that you are. I'm not gonna project that. But as a physician, are you seeing more emotional concerns in people these days? Are people more readily talking about it? I know they've changed up a lot of assessments in the physician's office. And let me say this, people, whether you're catching the replay or the live, be honest on those assessments, please. Stop saying you're okay. But Doc, all right, what are you seeing that concerns you most now? Like, are you seeing isolation? Are you seeing burnt out, stress overload, youth mental health, emotional suppression, deep traumas? Kind of, are you seeing any of those things in the space now these days?
It's interesting. We see all of it, and the things you described oftentimes go together.
Uh
So
huh.
they
Uh huh.
might have burnout is really just because people try to again work through the things that they're feeling instead of taking time to actually rest and meditate and calm down and realize that doing nothing is doing something. I always tell people it's okay to do
Can you
nothing.
repeat that, please?
I call my nothing my something. So doing nothing
Yes.
is doing something.
Yes.
It's okay to rest. And so all the things you talk about, childhood traumas, and oftentimes lead to some of the other things. And so we talk about anxiety and depression a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but there are other things. I mean, people have post-traumatic stress. Some people have
Mm-hmm.
acute traumatic stress, something that
Mm-hmm.
just happened. And then we can't forget about those things that people just have lost the ability to really concentrate and pay attention and have that attention deficit. So we hear a lot now about adults having ADHD,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really been pretty much hidden behind some of their anxieties and just trying to determine which one it is. And it's
Mm-hmm.
usually multiple things at the same time, but it actually comes up quite a bit. And I think some of it has started to surface, and people are being a little bit more open now because a lot more famous people are being open.
Mm-hmm.
People who are like the out of the community are actually coming out and saying, "Hey, I struggle with this. It's okay. to not be okay.
It.
So
That's it. Yeah,
yes.
helping people to I've been seeing and I follow her, Taraji P. Henson. She had in
Hmm.
her father's foundation, they are doing a lot around mental health and just wellness.
Hmm.
They started pods on HBCU campuses to provide safe spaces to walk through your mental health experience. And so,
Hmm.
shout out to Taraji P. Henson for that and the work that they're doing to be intentional,
Right.
and so understanding that at one point years ago, and I've done the research, I should have done it before I got on here, but at one point, 18 and 25-year-olds were leading in, taking their death by suicide.
Yeah, that's
And
especially
so
during COVID. It was
mhm,
it,
that
it
the
got pretty high.
it got
Hmm.
pretty high, and so we cannot minimize that people are really not okay, and it is okay not to be okay,
Hmm.
but it's not okay if I can say this and not be okay and don't share it. And so if you don't have safe people in your ecosystem, the people that you vibe with, that you can really be honest with and say, hey, I ain't doing good. I don't have the capacity. I only got the words. Like, and so we continue to show up. We continue to show up, be very, very productive, and are having such a hard time. That's the thing that concerns me, Doc, is that that the idea that your mental health will impact and does impact your physical health. So that,
It's
and
so
I'm gonna leave.
important. I told them it's really important to make sure you have a safe person or place or both.
Yes, yeah,
Because a lot of times those are the things that are make the difference between feeling in that space temporarily
mm-hmm.
and not making a permanent decision based on your temporary emotions. So
That's,
a lot of times, anytime you're in a space, and I think I talked about it several times, even when we're not necessarily on social media, but just
mm-hmm,
in general, even to my own kids, because young adult is a transition in life. Oh Lord,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
this I tell people, they talk about their babies walking. Young adult life, trying to figure out what's next, what's the future, where I go from here. That's a space, and that's we had to realize a lot of times when we tell kids that we've done this before, you can do it, just go get a job. So that space is really a difficult transition, trying to recognize next when you can't see the future and you're
mm-hmm,
trying to build a future and think you're making the right step. So make sure you have a safe, I always tell us, have a safe place
mm-hmm,
and have a safe person
mm-hmm,
that you're able to talk to. And a lot of times that's a huge difference between people making decisions that could
mm-hmm.
be a permanent decision that you can't come back from.
That you can't come back from. Why does mental health matter just as much as your physical health?
Well, I thought about even just giving you an example. I don't know how many people saw it on Facebook the other day, but literally, it's important again because mental starts from the inside, and
Mm-hmm,
your behavior and the things that you do start how you think. And if
mm-hmm,
the mind is not one of those things that people just say, "Oh, just think positive," and don't have those thoughts. And sometimes you literally have chemicals that run off in your brain that make all those things to show up, make change your eating habits, change your sleeping habits, change your mood. All of those are the same area of the brain, your personality. And so it's important to definitely be able to face those issues and understand what's going on, because the example I gave on Facebook was literally I was riding and it was raining. And I said, "Hey, I keep turning my windshield wipers on, and I'm looking at my windshield, and it's still pretty blurry. I can't really see where I'm going." So I reached down and turned on a defroster, and turned the defroster on, and it cleared the inside up. And I said, "Y'all know it's gonna be a word from this." And literally, I said the way the defroster works is because it works from the inside. And it
uh-huh,
didn't matter how many times we shade ourselves on the outside to try to clean off to see where we are, our vision is not clear strictly because we don't start with the inside first. And
mm-hmm,
so, and that's how mental health is. You have to literally start from the inside to understand building good behaviors, good habits, and also dealing with those things that are true pain. We don't heal. We literally just walk around and cover up by doing something that we think gets our mind off of it, but that only works temporarily. So
mm-hmm,
actually healing, I tell people, when you heal something, when you cut yourself on the outside, when you cut your body, you literally take care of it. You put something on it, you clean it
mm-hmm,
off, you cover it with a band-aid so everybody don't see it until it looks better. We get hurt on the inside and deal with mental things like traumas, whether childhood traumas or adult traumas or just grief. We can't forget about grief.
Uh-huh,
So
uh-huh.
things that you deal with, and we try to continue to walk around and we never clean it up and we never allow it to heal and we don't give the things that it needs to get better. And that's how mental health works. We must heal those things too.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I saw that, and your videos are always like, how she know this? Like they're always so timely. Again, if y'all not following the Tatted MD, because it's just everyday life, and so we like to it's everyday life. And you made a good statement around healing. And a lot of times because we are so accustomed to pushing through, we're so accustomed to being that strong person, or there's a shame and a stigma attached to getting help. Why do you think people are still so afraid to acknowledge that they really do need help?
It's it's about vulnerability, first of all. So a lot of people don't want people to know their vulnerable spots.
Uh-huh.
You want to display the parts of you that are strong or the
Uh-huh.
parts that you're handling well. So most people don't. That's just like when we display successes.
Uh-huh.
We are very public about how well we do something.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
We typically don't talk about how bad we do something.
Right. Now that's a good point.
So so it's the same way when we are is coming forth and saying, hey, we need to be able to acknowledge the fact that we're dealing with something that having a hard time dealing with by ourselves. So oftentimes I think asking for help in general is just hard. Like
Uh-huh.
and sometimes we display it as a way of weakness, and it's really not. I told you, you found strength in communities, and I even tell a person I had to learn that. I'm a type of person like I'm gonna do it myself because I figure if I do it, it won't mess up. Like I want to take care of it. If I need to heal, if I need to get in the space to figure out what's going on with myself, I do it. But
Uh-huh.
oftentimes that's how those videos that I started posting came about, because realizing that people were not doing a good job at doing it by themselves. They needed someone to realize that, hey, this is not abnormal.
Uh-huh.
Well, it's not all the way normal. This is things that happen every day. It's more common than you think. And I
Uh-huh.
said over and over again, mental health, whether it's anxiety, depression, whether it's ADHD, whether it's even grief, that
Uh-huh.
people are still grieving for something they happened 10 years ago. And
Uh-huh.
another person is telling them you should be over it by now.
Uh-huh.
But that's not how it works, because if you don't heal from the initial grief, then it doesn't move anywhere. You're still in the same stage.
Right.
So learning how to handle things without feeling like you're vulnerable and realizing it's not a vulnerability, it's actually a strength to be able to step forward and say, hey, I need help.
Yeah.
And I need to find a place and a space that I need to get it from. And that's where healing starts. And once you start the process, it goes from there.
Yeah, I know it's been years ago that I had some challenges myself. I was single, and I lived in Brandon, and I remember one of my good friends, I had messaged her and told her I just, wasn't in a good space. I'd gone to the doctor put me on medications. I stopped taking my medications. But I did. I stopped taking my medications because I didn't want to take them.
Mhm.
I felt like the Lord was going to take care of me. And I was in there listening to that sad, sappy music. And my friend, you have those kind of people in your life that have a key to your apartment. And so she just came on in. I'm laying across the bed crying and listening to this, sad music. And she was like, that's why you depressed. This music going. And so we just laid across my bed,
Mhm.
adults, right? We just laid across my bed and I just had someone to be there with me. You know, of course, we turned off the sad, sappy music. I did go back to the doctor to get off the medications the right way, but I didn't like the way they was making me feel, in
Mhm.
honesty, right?
Mhm.
And so it was a low dose because I'm sure it was situational. But when I went into my medical provider, that's why I tell you, I'll be honest with your medical providers. When I went in there, I just started bawling in the gynecologist's office, right? Okay. So where that come from? So we sat down and we got off the table. We sat down and I had a conversation with my gynecologist before we just started doing all the other things, because I'd been with her for a long time and she knew, like, wait a minute, what's going on? And so I say that to anybody, like, be honest with your medical providers. They're there to help you. But what helped me again was, like you shared, was community.
Hmm.
Somebody, a safe person that I trusted. And so, yeah, I was on a low dose of something. I think it was Paxil back then. I had a low dose of Paxil that I was on, and it made me feel some kind of a way. And I just was in a space. But I'm so grateful. And I call him my Snoodlewater, and we're still friends to this day.
Hmm.
And so I just thank God for people He put in your life to allow you to be you and to walk with you without judgment, and because I was that person, the strong person, the whoever, the funeral planner, the funeral MC lady, like I'm gonna be at all the things. However, I was also the person who was experiencing life as well. And so we don't normalize that life happens. We normalize life as lifing, but we normalize it to a degree that it can only happen to certain people. And so when we're talking about mental health, there is no socioeconomic status to it. There is no title. Like, it can happen and you can be well with it. It does not have to take you out. And so I wanted the doc to come on to share with us, like, it's real and it's okay. It's not the end of the world. It's
I
not
think
the
it. I think it's like I said. It's just honorable to be able for you to open up and tell your story because I think that's one of the things that people don't realize how common mental health is. Mental health. I mean, and it does not have to be all the way to the extreme.
That's right.
Oftentimes,
Yeah.
like we do things. Um, Many times we have anxieties and people don't even realize. Like I mean, I've had people who've had a wreck or knew somebody who died in the wreck.
Mhm.
They weren't even in the wreck,
Mhm.
but they're afraid to drive.
Mhm.
Like they can't even go out to certain
Mhm.
places. And
Mhm.
so sometimes, again, if we recognize just how you are not a weird, and I don't like using crazy. So when patients come in, or people for that matter, say, "I know, doc, you got to put me in that crazy medicine." I said, "Well,
Mhm.
I hate
Mhm.
to be the one to tell you, but crazy must be the norm
Mhm.
because we see we see it quite a bit. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
you have people who have different personality types, and I still
Yeah.
don't call them crazy. We just label
That's
you the personality type that you
right.
are. But in general, realizing that you're not alone, and one of the things that you even mentioned, giving the scenario in which you even deal with personally is oftentimes I've said it again, depression likes you to feel like you're by yourself. I mean, you don't see,
Mhm.
for instance, if I see a person come in with lively colors,
Mhm.
and all happy, and then they tell me I'm depressed, and I start looking at them, I was like, really? So I was like, well, tell me about your symptoms because typically a person in a acute stage of depression, they have on everything that's dark, whether
Mhm.
it's a dark brown, dark black, whatever.
Mhm.
Every light is off. They don't want
Mhm.
to hear nothing.
Mhm.
They
Mhm.
isolate themselves because they feel like they're actually isolation also comes because you feel like you are like a sore thumb in the middle of everybody else's
Mhm.
perfect hand, pretty much. So you don't want to be out because you don't want to ruin the mood for everybody else, or you don't
Mm.
want to make other people feel bad when they're around you, or even ask what's wrong. Because then the tendency is people say, "Are you okay?" And then you lie and you say, "Yeah, I'm fine,"
There it
but you
is.
but you are totally in a different space than everybody else. Everybody else over here smiling, joking, and you just don't want to be bothered. But
That's
you're
it.
trying to be sociable. But the reality is when you're dealing with those emotions, it is hard to continue to cover up because you can cover up by yourself. You can
Mhm.
go by yourself and close the door and act like you're fine. But when you get out in front of people, which is the reason oftentimes people isolate themselves when they have some behavior or mental circumstance that kind of
Mhm.
going on, because they don't want people to ask them because they don't want to have to be true. That goes back to the vulnerability, right?
Mhm.
So you don't want have to answer the question that no, actually, right now it's Mother's Day. I'm having a hard time right now. Like
Mhm.
I don't want to think about the
Mhm.
fact that it's
Mhm.
going to be Mother's Day and my mother's not here. Now,
Mhm.
I'm not speaking personally. My mom's here,
Right.
but
No, right. Right. Right.
but
Yeah, I
in
get. I
general,
get it. Yes.
people all the
Yes.
time instead of just saying it, they'll just say, "I don't want to go out," or "I don't want
Mhm.
to do this," and it doesn't mean that you should make somebody go out. But
Mhm.
just like you said, have a friend or somebody who you're comfortable with, where you don't have to be in that space alone. Maybe you don't want to go out to
Mhm.
eat because everybody's out to eat, and then you're gonna see people with their mother. Okay.
Mhm.
No, I'm going home and I'm watching Netflix. So I'm gonna say, what movie we want to watch? Let's go watch a
Yes.
movie then. That's
Yes.
fine. Me and you, let's
Yes.
go.
Yeah.
So it's okay to be in those spaces and not to make it seem like that there's anything wrong with handling it the way you need to handle it. As long as you are handling it, as long
Mhm.
as you are handling the situation in a space that's positive and not that's detrimental to you. Because going back to where you even asked about cardiovascular health, yes, I have literally seen a person have a heart attack in the midst of an argument,
Mhm.
not any other medical condition. She just was stressed as hell, like to be for
Mhm.
the matter.
Mhm.
She was
Mhm.
literally having an argument, her chest started hurting. We put a machine on, she was having a heart attack. Because your heart is a muscle. So when you get all worked up
Mhm.
and them blood start pumping, and if anything mixed the beat the way it's supposed to, you can absolutely have a heart attack. That's why they call them stress ulcers.
Mhm.
We
Mhm.
also have ulcers and stuff in your stomach that happen. So all those things that are mentally associated with our feelings, whether, like I said, we talk about anxiety and stress and depression, but it includes grief is probably actually the larger thing that I
Wow.
listen to people talk and concerns about and how to handle them. But you literally have to learn how to heal from those things. And heal doesn't mean getting over it. There's no such
That's
thing as
right.
getting over it.
Yeah.
Heal means I'm going through the process so that my life does not stop because, or I don't halt the things in my life or hinder the things in my life because I'm dealing with this situation.
That's good. That's so good. That's so good. For those of you who are still hanging out on Facebook where you can't see the doc and you may not be able to hear everything that she said, I do want to make this point so you can hear this. She just mentioned and that someone had a heart attack in the middle of an argument. I'm gonna let that rest. But coming back here where whether it's anxiety, the grief part, that's where I was trying to get back to the grief part. There is no linear process
Mm-mm.
with grief, right? It shows up, and one of the things, and if you can help us with this, doc, I would greatly appreciate it.
Mm-mm.
One of the things that I hear people say to whoever is getting ready or at that grieving state is, you got to be strong, you got to be strong, you just got to keep it together. That is well intended. However, when somebody either it has lost a loved one or a loved one is at a place where a decision has to be made around that, talk to us about that part, Doc. The gotta be strong part.
Well, first of all, I think some of that is I want to say culturally, but it is a little bit. If you think about when people lose someone at work, you have bereavement days, 3 days.
Girl, what you gonna do with them 3 days? You barely am planning a funeral. Hello, organizations, but I'm through.
So, and there are some that literally be like, well, if you go past your 3 days, you're gonna have to use like personal time.
Yeah,
Well, it is
yeah.
personal. That's exactly what's going on.
That's
It's
it.
a
Thank
personal
you for being
situation.
insensitive, but
So, and then some will say it depends on who you lose. Well, again, you can't tie my emotions to my relationship title.
uh-huh,
So there are some people um that don't have close relationships with their siblings. Their
uh-huh.
best friend is their sister,
That's it.
or their best friend is their brother. So grief, one thing, has stages. So, and we cannot gauge. One thing we are sure about that it has stages. We don't have timeline for the stages.
Uh-huh,
And one of the first stages, use denial. People usually don't stay in denial too long. You know it's happened.
uh-huh.
But that second stage, anger, it can hang a little while. So because especially if it's a situation where you lose someone and it's unexpected,
Uh-huh,
or they're the anchor in the family, which
uh-huh,
happens a lot.
uh-huh.
Um, and then the question is just what do you do now? So it puts you in a space not only just to grieve, but grieve leads to all kinds of other emotions because you're trying to figure out what is the next step to live without a person that you're used to having around.
Uh-huh.
And whether you're using it, and then it's when you enter that stage of bargaining. So now I'm trying to figure out, um, well, what am I supposed to learn from this? Like, is this supposed to be a
Yeah,
situation I'm supposed to learn
yeah.
from? Like, why did it happen? And I can name all these bad people that are living And then I start talking about the person that did live. So it gets to a point, and then after we get through, literally, that's what people don't realize. Once we get through denial, anger, bargaining, and then we get to depression, we got to go through 3 whole steps before we can get to the depression part of grief. So
Right.
depression, now you got 2 things. Now I'm depressed and I'm grieving.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
those stages
Yeah.
are already tough. And a lot of times people remain in depression stage because that's the point where you just feel like you feel sad. And that's the space that oftentimes people will say things. I always tell people, if you cannot say, I would never forget when my husband lost his mom. I took his phone, literally, because people would say things.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
When somebody loses someone, you would never hear me say, I know how you feel.
Mhm. Mhm.
You would never hear me say, it's gonna be okay. You'll get through this. Typically, all I say is praying for comfort, praying that God covers you.
Mhm.
And that's all I can tell you, because your relationship with your parent may not have been the same relationship that
Mhm.
someone else had.
Mhm.
You cannot gauge how long someone is going to feel. And to tell somebody, well, God, this happens. This is part of life. God knew what's best. Okay. God always knows what's best. But sometimes we need to ask a question. Excuse me, Lord. Can we talk about this? So
Yeah.
those things are not things that move us through the stages, and everybody not supposed to understand the stage. But when people are in those stages, and we're pointing back to the fact that they reached in grief, the depression is probably the longest stage that people have to deal with. You're still mourning a person that you love, you lost, and that you've had. Even if it's a parent who lost a baby in miscarriage, that is difficult because
Mhm.
you expected a life
Mhm.
that did not come to fruition like you expected it to.
Mhm.
So depression is a tough stage because you have to get through those, understanding where your resources are, first of all,
Mhm.
and understanding how to heal. So everybody don't understand how to heal.
Mhm.
And honestly, there's no there that's why people write books
Mhm.
that all of them say something different.
Mhm. Now you got a
because
good
because
point.
because the way to heal is not the same for everything. It's not a fit all, cover all.
Yeah.
It's not like the big shirt that you grab the store. It is one size fit
It's
all.
not one size fit all.
That is not how it works. Just like you tell me, say, girl, this is how I handle it. Listen, go in there and you just got to meditate and pray. Same thing I've told people when people on life support and they say, well, we want God to handle it. I don't want to do this. I said, well, last time I checked, God don't need any machine. So if I pull this machine right now from them breathing, and we're talking about a God of miracles, he don't need my respirator at all. We pull the machine, they going to keep breathing.
Mhm.
I said, so we have to realize if we put God in situations that he's already in, he don't need to be put there. He
Mhm.
already there.
Mhm.
So we say, let God handle it. Be strong. Just pray about it. Well, you can be strong and pray.
Mhm. Mhm.
You can be weak and pray.
Yeah. And you can be human and cry. You can be
Right.
human and fall apart. It has nothing to yeah.
Absolutely. I told, listen, tears are a sign. I did this one a while back, but tears are literally a release. It is actually a known psychological studied fact that tears are a relief.
Mhm.
Tears relieve stress. We hold on to stuff saying,
Mhm.
don't you cry, just be strong. Don't you cry. Now, I might not cry in front of people, but let me
That's
tell
right.
you, when I walk
That's
away,
right.
or
That's
when I
right.
get into space, like don't call me right now because my eyes are all red and they puffy and everything else, because they are a relief. And that's
Yeah.
literally good to cry and relieve those pressures. It's not good to hold on to emotions that
Yeah.
you're having, particularly those of that you feel like the need to cry. And we feel like a lot of times, which is interesting, we feel more comfortable with people displaying anger than we do for them to cry. Like it's okay to be mad about something, but it's not okay to cry. And actually, anger is the one the Lord told us be slow to
Be slow to
anger.
anger. Right. Right. Right.
So it's interesting, but we
Whew.
just have to learn how to heal in a way that's
Yes.
actually healthy. So healthy healing is the way to do it. And how you go through that process goes all the way back to how we handle our mental state, because again, it starts from the inside out.
I'm so glad you mentioned it. Thank y'all. I see my people still hanging out over there on Facebook. Head over to YouTube, Doing Life Well with Regina, and LinkedIn, Regina L. Lack. And so you can see the Tatted MD doc. We've been talking a lot of just walking through mental health and in different ways. What are some daily habits that genuinely support mental wellness? Just some daily things people can do to support their mental wellness just on a daily basis. Good mental hygiene. Like you
Exactly.
brush your teeth, you brush your teeth.
That's probably
We,
one. Brush your teeth.
we need a
If your breath
mental,
feel good, you feel good.
a
So
mental
yeah.
hygiene routine.
Well, literally, I actually have started even my own self because again, deal with so many things all day, and also dealing with people's you. I say deal with other people's issues because I try not to carry them. Once we talk about it, I was like,
Now,
okay, let you hold on to that. I got enough. So
thank you.
one of the things is definitely learning time to meditate. And meditation don't mean you have to meditate for a long time. Meditation means a quiet space, not your cell phone, play some quiet music, and literally 5 minutes of meditation oftentimes help you clear your mind because your mind needs to rest. It's really a reset. It's gotten so common that they put it on your Apple Watch and your watches and everything said breathe.
That's
So
right.
breathing techniques, taking time to meditate, take that in the morning. I tell people to take it in the morning and before you go to bed, like
Mhm.
both times, because that's the time to kind of relieve those stress and you actually get rid of different kind of chemicals in your body when you actually take time to breathe, meditate, listen to soft music to actually basically first you start off in the morning to begin and then you debrief when you come home.
Come on.
So learn to have those times of meditation. Of course, I would tell people exercise, but people think exercise is a bad word, so I try not to use exercise. So be physically active. Whatever you
Move,
need to do. If you stand in front of TV, start marching. It doesn't look now.
move something,
Do
move
something.
something.
So because again,
Yeah.
people don't realize even if you have bad joints, sit in a chair and do
Mhm.
some movement, something. Some type of physical activity is good to continue to help with your brain, and it actually helps relieve stress in so many ways. And I talked about the other day, enjoy nature. So find a
Mhm.
place, whether you're in a park, go sit on the bench, watch the
Mhm.
ducks. The
Mhm.
ducks probably gonna watch you, whatever. So of course find a safe place because
Right.
I know some people depend on where you live. So find a
Right.
safe place where you sit down and just kind of watch nature. And sometimes I tell them that's why I get some of my biggest revelations, literally
Mhm.
just watching, sitting outside watching things. Um, and you have to rest. I
Mhm.
mean, if I had to tap out, unfortunately, I had to admit my own stuff. But I always tell people if something gonna take me out, it's gonna be my lack of sleep.
Mhm.
Because even I lay down and look at the sky, like, okay, you should go to sleep now.
Mhm.
So
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
literally sleeping and getting rest to reset your mind
Mhm.
is works very well. You must reboot and reset. You have to rest to reset.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so getting some rest at night and sleeping, and that's very important. And turn off some of that stuff. Like turn off the TV, turn off the phone, don't answer. Have those quiet moments. And not necessarily quiet moments to get away because you need to be in a space of but you have a depressed mood, but quiet it down because sometimes all that noise,
Mhm.
I tell people so much noise in the world, especially even right now
Mhm.
it's so much noise that have so much negativity, and that negative noise can fill your mind so much that the positivity is knocking on those. Hey, I'm still here. Just
Let me in.
let me in. And so you start thinking about all the stuff you see, because when you turn on the news, you see somebody died, somebody shot somebody had a car wreck, somebody lost their mama, somebody like it's a what the gas is $22 a gallon. I mean, I don't. And at the end of the day, you still got to drive to work. So some of that noise is
Mhm.
just to defer
Turn
the
down the
fact.
volume. Yeah.
Yeah, turn it down. I mean, it's you sometimes again, that's where the meditation comes in as
Mhm.
well. But turn off some of those things that are filling your mind. Stop filling your head with YouTube all day.
Mhm. Mhm.
Stop filling your head. You can watch our YouTube though. This isn't
That's
church.
right. Pull up every Friday at 6 o'clock
This is
a.m.
a
Central Standard Time.
but filling your head with TikToks and you pay attention to the things that get views all the time. We fill our minds with so much negativity.
Mhm.
Turn off social media. Depression and anxiety went up so high during
Mhm.
COVID
Mhm.
because all we had was
Yeah,
social media.
social media.
That was
Locked
our
in.
that was our news. That was that was how we found out who died. That was how we found, and
Everything.
then so it became a space of too much that was just way too much negative energy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I've had people that do a literally 7-day fasting of
Mhm.
social media,
Yeah. I know a
and it
young
changes
lady.
your thoughts.
Yeah, I know a young lady who fasts the first 7 days of every month
Hmm.
from all socials because it does impact your well-being, your mental and what people call doom scrolling all day long.
Yes.
And so when you're doom scrolling, but you tell me you can't walk for 30 minutes, to better support your mental health or better
Mhm.
support your life, period. But we're talking about, from the mental health standpoint, when you doom scroll, when you're just scrolling all day long throughout the day, you're
Mhm.
overstimulating yourself, you're contributing to it. And so what the doc is saying is give it a break, give socials a break, meditate, get you some sleep, get you some rest, unplug, remove those devices, get you some exercise. And then what about sunlight? Does going outside help at all, doc? I like
It
to go.
does. I tell people go outside into nature, and again, make sure you enjoy the outdoors. I told shoot sunlight. I told if you have a patio, if it's raining, go watch the rain. It's
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
some things again. It's just the activity of fresh air is so good to be able to get out the house.
mm-hmm.
Even if you're just sitting in a space where you just sit down, just kind of watch nature. Nature
Yeah,
is very interesting. So it's it's
yeah.
it's a good space to watch.
Yeah, it's the simple things when we're talking about a mental hygiene practice, establishing a mental hygiene
Hmm.
practice. A couple of things for my folks who are still hanging out on Facebook. Doc talked about mental hygiene practices. What can you do on a daily basis to support your mental well being? Because you can't wait for no vacation, okay, good people? You can't wait for Friday, living for the weekend, but really building in these things every single day. Doc talked about some meditations, talked about maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes in the morning, doing the same thing in the evening, having you a digital detox. And so
Hmm.
stepping away from all these gadgets and TV, not just social media, but unplugging from these TV shows where you are doing a marathon on these TV shows, and you just watch them all day long and you doom viewing. And so we're putting all of this stuff in our head. Now, one thing my mama do is get on me because I don't watch TV, right? I couldn't tell you what come on, and that's just my personal preference.
Hmm.
There's a reason associated with it, but I don't watch TV like that. And so I don't know what come on at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, even in the evening times. And so just taking that time to have you a daily routine. This is not a prescription, right? Even though she's a doc, we're just giving you
Hmm.
practical things, getting you some sleep, setting boundaries, going outside and getting some sunlight, going into nature, going to the park, movement. She didn't say go join the gym. She said be active in your life. Nutrition. Y'all know you not going to slip up out of here without me talking about how your nutrition impacts your mental health. Freebie on a Friday. Put that sugar down because trash, okay? And then one of the things that I talked about is community. One of my good friends, Sadidra, I don't see Armstrong anymore, but Sadidra Washington is the name when I first met her. I don't know what her last name is now, but Sadidra, she is the one that came to my apartment and basically rescued me from being in the bed, wailing and crying, okay? And so I just thank God for people in your life who love you through, okay?
Hmm.
And so, Doc, before we get out of here, I do want, if somebody's feeling mentally exhausted, mentally overwhelmed, what is one step that they can take? I'm not talking about somebody who's having a psychotic break. That's not what I'm talking about, because we're gonna need to call 911 so they can get a safe intervention. But I'm these things that we are walking through, because mental health has an array, right? It has a vast array. And
Hmm.
oftentimes we talk about anxiety, depression, stress, and grief, but and ADHD, particularly with young people. But there is such an array of other conditions when we're talking about mental health. These are just the more common ones that we're talking about. And so, and that are more prevalent, more common, and just more prevalent. But Doc, if somebody is out there right now overwhelmed, what is one step that they can take today, like right now, to do something?
One is this we just talked about community. So
Mhm.
that one support, whether it's a person or support group, someone you trust, whether it's built within your faith, whether it's
Uh-huh.
a and whether it's Coach Regina. So you have to find a community or that one safe place or that safe space to be able
Mhm.
to talk. Because again, if you're in that space right now, one of the hardest things is, even if you kind of know you need to talk to somebody, is
Mhm.
feeling like you're alone.
Mhm.
And one of the one of the things we've shown is probably the best healing. One of the steps to healing is realizing that you're not alone. Is to have somebody there with you. So we found there is strength in groups
Mm-hmm.
and having a community around you that actually supports you. And even a community that had to be 12 people.
Right.
Then it really could be two,
Yeah.
maybe one, depending
Yeah.
on who it is. But just having that person. So finding that community or that one person that can help you. And if you have a provider, whether it's a counselor, a physician, or whoever else that you call that person and get in contact with them for other ways to help. There are opportunities to help and then be involved in stuff. So sometimes sedentariness, I don't even know if
Mhm.
that's a word, but
Yeah, we can make Jesse Jackson made of words. We can make the words, right?
sometimes being sedentary and isolating yourself are actually sometimes the worst feelings.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you think is allowing you to heal and actually causes you to go deeper into the situation. So one of the things I just share real quick that even we talked about setting boundaries.
Mhm.
And a friend of mine who actually came on Facebook to kind of encourage someone else. He's a clinical psychologist, Dr. Austin, literally said that it takes skill and practice to set boundaries. You don't just wake up saying no to everybody.
That's right.
That's not how it works. It sounds good,
Hmm.
but
That's right.
that's not how it happens. But
Yeah.
it takes time to work on those things. So if you don't set it the first time, it's okay to come back around again and say, okay, listen, this is how we're gonna learn to set those things one thing at a time.
Mhm.
So setting your boundaries, understand what's best for you, not carrying things that you don't need to carry, and then make sure you find a community that whether it's that one person or that group of people that help strengthen you. Because the whole point of a circle, I tell people, I have a great circle, especially now. So happy. So because wherever I feel that I need some support, and it
Mhm.
could be in multiple areas, and I have probably more than one circle, like
That's right.
so.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so wherever you feel support in those areas, you need to have people within your circle that can provide the support. You shouldn't always be. I think we talk about even that in scripture. Talk about being evenly yoked. It's not equally yoked. It's
Mhm.
not just talking about marriage.
Mhm.
Equally yoked, as anybody's ever know. I probably nobody ever sees a mule pull anything anymore. But if anybody ever seen a mule actually pull when they used to plow, it wasn't that one mule was both mules were the same size. It wasn't that. Equally yoked means that, hey, when you're tired, I got the load to
Mhm.
care for you.
Mhm.
And it's not that I took the load off you.
Mhm.
It's just that we holding it together. And just for that little while, we're gonna hold that little space to help keep you up so you don't fall.
Come on now.
That's what it's all about. Community is the same thing. So you have that kind of space in that circle where you have somebody who's able to not necessarily carry a load,
Come
but
on now.
when it gets heavy for you, they're there to like, hey, I take a little, let me tell you how to take a little off and balance you out. And so
I
until
love
you're able
that.
to get to the space where you can handle, because I'm gonna need you to balance me sometimes too. So make sure you get to that space.
Yes, Doc just closing us out talking about community, and so I asked her, what is one thing that someone can do right now who may feel overwhelmed? Tap into your community. Make
Mhm.
sure you are tapping into your community. And I love something that you also said, Doc. You have more than one circle because one, even like you said, oh, my spouse, my best friend. Okay, good. That's fine. No
Mhm.
disrespect for that. Mine is mine. But I
Mhm.
also have groups over here. Like everybody's not going to give you everything. And so we get disappointed when people don't give us what we think they should give us. They can't give you what they don't have. Okay.
Mhm.
And so having multiple circles, having multiple peeps, ecosystems that support you in your different areas. Like I'm not going to go to certain people around my nutrition because that ain't just what they do. You talking health and wellness, and they talking, let me go get these ribs over here. We just, you know what I'm saying? So you have different circles that provide you with different things. Doc, it is always a pleasure to have you here. I don't know if you can see these comments over here, very informative. Yeah, my girl out of Florida says this has been very informative. And
Good.
so just really thankful that you take the time to pull up with the coach on the Coach's Cafe.
Mhm.
As we close out, give the people a closing message give them hope for today. Give them
You
hope
want
for today
you
to
want to
tap
preach a
into.
sermon?
Listen, we done got past Thank for Thursday. We have figured out Friday, but the gift is you do not have to figure out this life alone.
Mhm.
Dr. Rice, drop them a nugget real quick.
Well, I always tell them like, and realistically, if you catch on, because probably gonna post in about 15 minutes. If you see the post for the day, that one of the things is on this Friday is realizing that you're not perfect. We
Mhm,
all deal with situations, and they typically come from some type of hurt that we had before,
mhm,
whether it's anxiety, depression, whether it's ADHD, whether it's grief, whether it's post traumatic stress. And then you have to realize that the book of actual diagnosis is large. But the important thing I always try to point out to people is that you are not your diagnosis.
mhm,
Do not walk in a space like you are doomed for death because someone says that you have even a mental health disease. It's a diagnosis. It's not defining you.
mhm,
And understanding the spaces that you have and just joining a community to help you move through that, because you're not alone. And that is literally find someone that is supportive, the person that you know that you can trust. And
mhm,
if not, find your healthcare professional to talk to them about whatever you need to do. But remembering that it works from the inside out. It is not abnormal to feel this way. Well, I put it like this, not necessarily not abnormal, but it's not uncommon to
mhm,
feel this way. And you're not in the space by yourself. So take care of yourself from the inside out, because it starts with how you think. And just remembering that they had this statement. It was actually branded for quite a while, that it is absolutely okay to not be okay.
mhm.
Just make sure we know how to handle the situation at the time that we need to, and understand that we have the community to reach out to for help. Don't feel like you have to handle it by yourself. Start with a positive mindset, and a positive mindset all goes along with your positive your physical abilities as well.
It has been my absolute pleasure to have the one and only Dr. Amanda Rice, Tatted MD. Give them how they can catch up with you outside of hanging with your girl, the plant based boss, on Figured Out Fridays. How can they pull up with you to support you on your socials, on your handles, as well as the work that you do?
Yes, you can find me on social media, on Facebook and Instagram, and also on TikTok. On all of those, on the Tatted MD. On Facebook, you probably find me either as Amanda Rice, but it's a common name. So make sure you put for Amanda Rice, and then you put in the Tatted MD. I also have a business page called Inspiring Impact LLC. It's also for a medical consultant, but we do a lot of inspirational things and health tips, and you see some motivational moments. So it's called Inspiring Impact. Also, that's also on Facebook. You want to reach me by email, you just go by inspiring impact LLC at gmail.com. And that's the way you reach me. And if you're looking for a provider, reach out to UMC Family Medicine. So,
That's right.
yes. And so
Yes.
what we do is, I told you, it's important to me that not only just when you come, and not just necessarily come see me, because one of my other part of my calling and my purpose is to make sure that we develop physicians who care, listen,
Mhm,
and
mhm,
hopefully grow into a space, because I go over and over again for our family medicine department. Family medicine is the place where we handle everybody from birth all the way up to end of life.
yes.
And we're the only ones that do that, take care of everybody. So it's a very special place. Not that I love all my colleagues, don't get me wrong, because I call them when I need to. But family medicine is literally just that. That is a true community of family oriented care, and we take care of your whole family. So
If you are in the Jackson or the surrounding areas, and if
mhm.
you're looking for a medical provider, UMC, Dr. Amanda Rice, and the Family Medicine, is it clinic? What is the name of it? So I
Yeah,
can get
it's family. You get the family medicine clinic. We have two clinics. So
Family
UMC
Medicine
Family Medicine.
Clinic, UMC
Mhm.
Family Medicine Clinic.
Mhm.
I am so grateful that the Dr. Amanda Rice, the TED MD, pulled up with me on this Figured Out Friday. We've been talking mental health over here on YouTube, LinkedIn. Thank you, Facebook, for always pulling up. Yo, you always pull up. So thank you all so much. I don't take your time for granted. Again, it's been my pleasure as your plant based boss. I pull up every Friday, 6 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time, sharing information as it relates to integrative health. I'm talking about your nutrition, your mindset, your movement, and your community. And so this month, we're going to be leaning into mental health and what that looks like in your different spaces in life. And so, also, if you missed me yesterday on 90.1 WMPR, I was live in Jackson, Mississippi on 90.1 WMPR. Make sure you head over to My Health, My Mississippi, catch that full replay. We had a wonderful time. I do have a master class that's going to be coming up real soon. So I will keep you all updated on that. Keep trekking with your girl. Make sure you like, share, and comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. We thank you all so much for pulling up with us today. Dr. Amanda Rice, I know you got people to see and things to do. So thank you so much for pulling up with me on this Figured Out Friday and getting us in this conversation, getting our conversation started outside of them just hearing the plant-based ball share. So y'all, it's Figured Out Friday. We just invite you to recover the recoverable, and your health is most certainly recoverable. Thank y'all, and y'all have a good weekend.
Thank you.